Bonsoir tout le monde. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular council meeting of September 20th, 2021. We'll start the meeting with l'appel, roll call. I'll ask members of council to announce themselves, please.
Michael Ternowski, présent.
André Brisson, présent.
Jamie Lauren here.
Cindy Saucier here.
Perfect, thank you very much. And I'll ask our clerk to confirm her presence as well.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm here.
Parfait, merci Madame Camré-Laplante. Item 2 and 3, la prière puis l'hymne national, on ne fait pas durant une rencontre virtuelle. Item 4, item 4, additions, deletions, or amendments. We have a few items to add under item 18. 18A will be under myself to ask the question in regards to bollards on Craig Street. Item 18B will be Councillor Saucier with an update on the Terry Fox run. Item C will be Conseiller Lorrain in regards to a discussion on crosswalk at Heritage. Item D will be Conseiller Lorrain in regards to Russell Arena update. And item E will be Conseiller Lorrain with in regards to an update on the construction on concession church area in Russell. Anything else, members of council? If not, then a motion to approve the agenda as amended. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Ternowski, seconded by Conseiller Brisson. Call for the vote.
Mike Ternowski, yes.
André, oui.
Jamie, yes.
Cindy Saucier, yes.
Perfect, thank you very much. That is carried. Item 6, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Hearing, seeing none. At this point, the agenda, we go to item 16A. Just bring it up here, which is bylaw, part 1. Bylaw to amend procedural bylaw 2019-020. Schedule A of bylaw to amend procedural bylaw chart. Motion that council approves bylaw 2021-087 inclusively for first, second, and third reading as listed on the agenda. Being a bylaw to amend council's procedural bylaw 2019-2020 with respect to section 419 electronic participation. Need a mover and a seconder to put it on the floor, please. Moved by Conseiller Lorrain, seconded by Councillor Ternowski. Questions on this item? If not, we gave notice at the special meeting right beforehand, specifically so we could vote on this right away. So if there's no questions, I'll call for the vote.
Mike Ternowski, yes.
André, oui.
Jamie, yes.
Cindy Saucier, yes.
Perfect, that is carried. Thank you very much, everyone. Item 7, l'adoption des procès-verbaux. Procès verbal de la séance extraordinaire du Conseil du 31 août 2021. Procès verbal de la séance ordinaire du Conseil du 7 septembre 2021. Et procès verbal de la séance extraordinaire du Conseil du 13 septembre 2021. Motion d'approuver les procès-verbaux tels que présentés. Need a mover and a seconder to put on the floor. Moved by Councillor Ternowski, second by Conseiller Lorrain. Questions on the adoption of the minutes? Hearing, seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
Mike Ternowski, yes.
André, oui.
Jamie, yes.
Cindy Saucier, yes.
Perfect, that is carried. 8 and 9, the presentations, delegations, we have none this evening. We fall to item 10, consent items. Motion that all items listed under consent items be received as presented. Item A, minutes of the United Counties of Prescott-Russell, June 23rd, 2021. Item B, minutes of the Russell Historical Society of June 14, 2021. Item C, pay list, August 2021. And D, request for community grants from the Parks and Recreation Department, September 2021. And item E, minutes of the Township of Russell Public Library Board of June 17th, 2021. Need a mover and a seconder to put them on the table. Moved by Councillor Ternowski, seconded by Conseiller Saucier. Any questions on the consent items? Hearing none, then I'll call for the vote.
Mike Ternowski, oui.
André, oui.
Jamie, yes.
Cindy Saucier, yes.
Perfect. Consent items are carried. Merci beaucoup. Item 11, rapport des départements et comités du conseil. Item A, item A, zoning bylaw amendment, report PD 44 2021. That council receives report PD 44 2021 dated September 20th, 2021 and concurs with the recommendation from the Planning Advisory Committee to approve the amendment to the zoning bylaw 2018-094 from residential 1 R1 to residential 3 R3 to allow the construction of 3 townhouses on the subject property. Questions, comments, members of council? Councillor Saucier.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like the home to the right, is that all part of the one property? It was because it's like it's on the corner, right? That this is proposed.
Yeah, I believe that's the same property owner, but Madame Tremblay, peux-tu
That
confirmer?
was my question.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Madame Tremblay, peux-tu confirmer?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. So yes, the property was subject to a severance application. So the property is where the house is and at the corner of the property. So that existing house is being severed from the vacant parcel of land, and the townhouse will be built on the vacant property, part of that bigger property that is being severed.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that lot's been empty for years, so it just makes sense, infill. Without any further questions, and we'll go on to the next item. Prochaine, item B, modification à l'entente de financement pour les fonds dédiés à la taxe sur l'essence, rapport FS 26-2021. Que le Conseil reçoit le rapport FS 26-2021 daté du 20 septembre 2021 et que le règlement proposé soit adopté tel que présenté, autorisant le maire et la greffière à signer une entente modifiée entre la municipalité de Russell et la province de l'Ontario, connexe à l'engagement financier pris par la province de l'Ontario avec la municipalité dans le cadre du fonds dédié à la taxe sur l'essence pour le programme transport en commun de la municipalité de Russell. So this is not something surprising. We knew this back in December when we made a decision on our transpo services that there would be a reduction because we're ending the service early. Any questions or comments, members of council? Councillor Tarnowski.
Mr. Godin, if I can just get just an update on what's the balance now of the COVID funding that we've received so far?
Thank you, Councillor Tarnowski. Through Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Godin.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Bonsoir, Charmant Conseil. So, Councillor Tarnowski, the updated balance of that reserve would be after this adjustment. It's going to be about $875,000 that's going to be available. We do have the 22 budget coming up where we might have some proposals regarding some of those funds, as well as potentially some impacts that we've yet to analyze completely for the 2021 budget. But as we stand right now, after this this additional $40,000 that's going to be taken from that fund, we do still have $875,000.
Merci beaucoup.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Godin. Any other questions, members of council? Hearing, seeing none. Anything to add, Mr. Godin?
Non, merci, Monsieur Maire.
Perfect. We will go on to the next item. Item C, Finance Semi-Annual Activity Report, Report FS 27-2021. The council receives Report FS 27-2021 dated September 20th, 2021. Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Godin, I'll let you highlight some of the key factors you'd like to mention in your report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the report is pretty short and sweet, but we do have a few business plan items that are ongoing. The staff has been working very hard to get finalized and that are nearing completion. A few modules from our financial software that we're currently implementing. So there's Virtual City Hall, which we've already made a few presentations to council about, which essentially is going to be to increase our level of service to residents. And also one that's close to being finalized and that we're currently in a testing stage is for our payroll module, where we'll be able to manage timesheets electronically. So that one's more about efficiency. So these two are very close to being completed, and I just want to take the opportunity to thank staff who keep on working hard to deliver these projects, all the while maintaining the regular operations and budget preparations.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Monsieur Godin. Any questions, members of council? No? Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Encore Monsieur Godin, Asset Management Department Semi-Annual Activity Report. Council receives report AM02-2021 dated September 20th, 2021. Anything specific you'd like to point out on that one, Mr. Godin?
Merci, Mr. Miles. So just that you'll notice that a few of our capital projects from this year are kind of put on hold pending certain decisions regarding different properties. But on the asset management planning side, so we keep on working to improve our planning and investing practices. You will notice that we've included a schedule just showing that the province did move back their obligations regarding asset management planning. So we do have some specific requirements that we do have to meet. The province pushed them back a year just following a COVID year where a lot of municipalities had to put their focus elsewhere. But that being said, our efforts are continuous, and we plan on continuing to provide council with capital budgets that are more and more in line with our asset management practices.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Godin. Questions, members of council? Hearing, seeing none, then we will move on to the next one. Item E, rapport d'activité semestriel du département de la sécurité publique et de l'exécution des règlements. Que le conseil reçoit le rapport PIC 13-2021 daté du 20 septembre 2021. Madame Bourdeau, bonsoir.
Bonsoir, Monsieur le maire, ça va bien ce soir?
Oui,
Membre du conseil. Oui, mon rapport, on continue avec les tâches qu'on a avec COVID, puis l'enforcement des règlements. On se tient à date avec les règlements, les tâches qui vont nous revenir là, avec les passeports, ces choses-là. On va assister les commerçants avec le besoin de suivre ces règlements-là. Donc, ça, c'est notre prochaine étape. On a eu les cliniques de vaccination qui sont bien passées, donc ça, c'est terminé pour l'instant. On continue avec nos projets capitaux. Il va y avoir, there's going to be improvements at the dog park this week, and we have more funding available because people are providing us with some monies to do improvements to the dog park. It's a continuous process. People love that dog park. So we're also planting more trees in the coming weeks. Some grants received by citizens who applied for grants. So we're going to be planting more trees at the dog park. So our capital projects are not yet completed due to the backlog of equipment for security, for vehicles. So everything seems like it's on the backlog. So hopefully we get everything done by the end of the year. So we've giving you pretty much all the detailed information on the report. You also have some of the some attachments, and you will see that our occurrence count is a little bit lower than last year, and that's due to COVID enforcement. We've had a little bit less occurrences than last year, but not by much. It continues to increase. Hopefully we get the level of service done soon so we can set some perimeters in what is needed in this department, because right now we just seem to be running from one call to the next because of the increase of calls that we're getting. So this is something I'm looking forward to. I don't know if did you want me to go through with the reports or
No.
the
I think we're okay, Madame Bourdeau. We've had it for a week. I'll open the floor to see if members of council had any questions in regards to the statistics and the appendixes that were included in the report. Any questions from members of council? Councillor Saucier?
Yeah, I was just curious, and maybe I just missed it, but what are the most types of occurrences that we're seeing? Like the calls?
Madame Bourdeau?
I think she's frozen, no?
which type of call?
Yeah, like I'm just wondering that you say the occurrences were increased during this time of the year. Like what is it, what type of occurrences are we seeing more of?
Well, we see in the past year we've seen a lot of COVID calls. But we see also a lot of we do a lot of swimming pool permits, swimming pool inspections, clean yards. These are the high volume calls we get in the summertime.
Yeah, and definitely this has been the year for
Yeah,
people
those-
installing pools.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? No? Okay, merci beaucoup, Madame Bordeaux.
Merci.
We'll go on to the next item. Item F, Landfill Annual Monitoring Report 2020. That council receives report ISPW 19-2021 dated September 20th, 2021 and acknowledges receipt of the Landfill Annual Monitoring Report 2020. Questions, comments, members of council? This is an annual requirement since the municipality closed its landfill site. Conseiller Lorrain.
Yeah, so it's a report for last year, or is it a report for this year up to now? Because it just
No,
says
yeah,
report 2020.
Monsieur Bourgon, it's for the full year of 2020, correct?
Yes, exactly. So I'm a bit late in the year to present that to council, but we're always reporting. We're kind of here behind with those reports. So for the 2021 report will be completed late spring 22.
Just wanted to make sure it was that there was no error on the report. That's all.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Any other questions, members of council? Quelque chose à rajouter, Monsieur Bourgon?
Non, pas à ce sujet.
OK, parfait. On va aller avec le prochain rapport, item G, item G, Growth Management Plan Update, Report ISWAT WW06 2021. The council receives report ISWAT WW06 2021 dated September 20th, 2021 and acknowledges receipt of the Growth Management Plan Update. Questions, comments, members of council? Councillor Associate.
Yeah, I just had one in section 4.1. It said the analysis did not include review of the water distribution system. Can you just explain that?
Thank you very much, Councillor Associate. Through Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Bourgon.
So by the distribution system, we mean like the piping system going around in every subdivision. So for the water, so we only looked at our reservoir that's located beside the dog park and the elevated tanks in every villages.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Conseiller Brisson.
Je voulais juste savoir, comme à la fin du rapport, il y a des cartes en brun puis de Russell, mais il me semble, ils ont de l'air toutes pareilles. C'était juste, c'est quoi la différence entre les, je pense, 3 différentes cartes là, qui remontent?
Parfait. Merci beaucoup, conseiller Brisson. Monsieur Bourgon.
De un, il y a les deux villages, donc Embrun et Russell. Puis ensuite, c'est juste le type de tuyau. Un va regarder le système d'eau, l'autre c'est le système d'égout sanitaire. Donc de cette façon, il se retrouve à avoir plusieurs cartes qui se ressemblent énormément.
OK.
Oui, mais il y en a plus que 2 copies, j'aurais compris, c'est ça, là, que un c'est pour l'eau, l'autre c'est l'égout, mais il y en a 3 ou 4 là que.
Il y a une petite description là, dans le coin à droite au bas qui donne là, un peu les différents types, les choses qui sont regardées dans chacun des figures.
OK, ouais, comme par exemple, ouais. Russell Development Areas Map, Embrun Development Areas Map, Russell Pipe Data, so, les descriptions sont dans le coin en bas. Oui, allez-y, conseiller Brisson.
OK. Mon autre question que j'ai pour ça, ce rapport-là, ça dit, OK, c'est le pronostic pour le prochain 10 ans. Je vois que ça prend les terrains, ça prend en considération les terrains vacants qui ont en dedans du village, mais je sais que le master plan aux Comtés-Unis est en train de se faire, puis que pour nous, c'est l'année prochaine. Il n'y a pas aucune planification pour les prochains 10 ans que les villages vont grossir. La capacité, je sais qu'elle s'en vient quasiment au maximum pour bâtir. C'est juste ça que j'étais surpris que ça n'a pas alloué des zones pour le prochain comme 5 ans, que des zones à l'extérieur du village comme c'est là pour la capacité de l'eau et les égouts.
Monsieur Bourgon?
Merci, M. le maire. Donc, à ce moment-ci, nous faisons seulement regarder le full build-out, donc les limites qui sont établies du village pour pouvoir les servir en entier. C'est le but du rapport, c'est seulement de regarder à ce qu'on remplit les, si vous me permettez l'expression, de remplir les limites du village.
Puis une fois que le plan officiel va être revisité au niveau des comtés, puis notre plan officiel, il va y avoir des ajustements qui sont faits en conséquence s'il faut agrandir les limites du village ici.
Exactement. Donc, ça, c'est un peu une version améliorée que moi, je l'appelle d'un master plan. On regarde vraiment plus en détail de chaque type d'infrastructure. Donc, au moment que si ça va de l'avant puis les limites de village sont ajustées, bien là, on va pouvoir créer un autre amendement ou une autre version là, à ce rapport.
Merci. Follow-up ou M. Leduc, un commentaire?
Oui, peut-être M. Bourgon peut expliquer le full build-out, ça envisage combien d'années avant d'arriver à tout compléter ou remplir les zones actuelles des villages?
M. Bourgon?
Merci. Donc, c'est sûr que ça peut, ça se trouve à varier beaucoup selon les projections, mais au rythme qu'on va, c'est quand même quelque chose là, qui pourrait arriver au cours d'une dizaine d'années. Donc, c'est pour ça que vous voyez dans les rapports là, qui fait souvent référence à 2031. Encore là, c'est des estimés. On tente d'avoir des projections. Les densités peuvent changer ou le rythme de croissance aussi. Donc, c'est pour ça qu'on tente quand même de faire ces ajustements là, de façon régulière à ces études-là pour s'assurer que, de un, quand on fait des révisions des études de DEP, que les bons projets sont mis à l'étude et quand on arrive pour faire nos budgets annuels exactement aussi.
Parfait. Merci beaucoup, M. Bourgon. D'autres questions, membres du conseil? If there's no... Oui, conseil Brisson.
Parce que je sais que je remarquais, comme il y avait à Pompe dans Brun, SPS6, qui est pour le projet cloutier, ça dit qu'il est bien oversize, mais on voit que le projet peut grossir. C'est pour ça que j'étais juste surpris quand il voyait dans les recommandations, oui, ça demande une autre étude, mais ça dit, ça peut considérer à changer des pompes pour plus petites. Je vois pas l'avantage pour commencer, c'est peut-être que je connais pas assez de la chose pour les pompes. De ressortir une grosse pompe quand que, d'après moi, ça coûte pas bien plus cher. Puis je sais que l'expansion, elle s'en va vers là, ça fait que...
OK, merci. Commentaire là-dessus, M. Bourgon?
Ben, je peux seulement ajouter qu'on a un rapport, on passe au travers, puis il y a certaines choses comme ça que on évalue un peu plus du côté opérationnel là, si des recommandations de ce niveau-là sont avantageuses ou non. Mais c'est certain que la station de pompage auquel je fais référence a été fait pour couvrir beaucoup plus grand que juste le projet en particulier. Donc, c'est des choses comme ça qu'il faut quand même évaluer là, avant d'implémenter les recommandations.
OK, parfait. Merci. D'autres questions, commentaires? OK, comme c'est là, on fait recevoir on reçoit le rapport. Parfait. We'll go on to the next item. Item H, rapport d'activité semestrielle du département des parcs et loisirs, que le conseil reçoit le rapport PR 19-2021 daté du 20 septembre 2021. Madame Guittard.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Bonsoir, membres du conseil. So I just wanted to add for this report, unfortunately, we had to survive 2 lockdowns. from January to mid-February, and then again from April until the end of June. So the department was hit a bit harder this time because, like I said, it was two closures. So this means that most of our winter programs had to be canceled, reimbursed, because obviously it had no sense in pushing them out in July. So they were all canceled. So the good part of this is we were still able to do some grant application, trying to secure some more money, which we did. So that was the good part. We did secure money with the New Horizon for the exercise park, some more funds for the bowling hall, which we received from the MPP, Mr. Francis Drouin, back in July, for $144,000. So that was really appreciated to go towards our bowling hall. And then we had an interesting amount also from Canada Summer Jobs and Youth Canada Works, which those two amounts were distributed towards our youth for the summer for salaries. We received over $27,000. We did make an application also for the Healthy Communities Initiative for $80,000, but we were declined the first time. We did reapply for the second round, and we're still in waiting for the response for that one. We had also applied through FCC Agri-Spirit for $15,000 to put towards the construction of a gazebo, but that one was declined also. And then last but not least, we did get another $4,000 to put towards our new dock at the boat launch from UCPR. So this was our third year that we received $4,000 from UCPR. So this is very welcome, since it helped us to redo the whole cement slab for the launch and also the whole dock system. So we've got a brand new, all brand new facilities at the boat launch. So that's that was very welcome. And then we were able to still work on our capital projects. Some of them are completed, some of them are still ongoing, because we still have a good 3 months to go in the year, so we're still working towards that. Like every other department in the corporation, we see that some material is still hard to get, so we're still working towards that. Contractors are still hard also to confirm for certain jobs, so we're still working towards that. And in January, we also started the complex, the recreation complex project, which was part of the phase 1 and phase 2. So in this one, we had the conception of 2 tennis courts, 2 basketball courts, and of course, our accessible, inclusive Jonathan Pitt Park with some exercise components. That's all going right now. You have to remember that this report is until the end of June. So obviously we really started the shovel in the ground in August. So at the next report, I'll be giving you more details about that one. So I think that's pretty much it. Again, we were challenged, that's for sure. And I thank the team again to be, they were up to the challenge, and I thank them for their good work, their patience. It's not always fun to work in those conditions, but the team were able to be there for us, and I think they delivered the service like the residents would have liked to have.
Parfait. Merci beaucoup, Madame Guittard. Question, membre du conseil, conseiller Ternaski.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. J'aimerais juste appuyer la félicitation à toute ton équipe, à toute votre équipe. You know, people that are in front-facing programs, dealing with the pandemic, of changing, canceling, then rescheduling, trying to get staff again and everything else. It's just a tremendous amount of work, sometimes very frustrating with all the changes constantly going. So, and I know a lot of departments face that, but specifically front-facing programs like that with the public, it's been a real challenge. So congratulations to you and your team on doing a fantastic job. I wanted to just confirm my understanding that because the way the report timeline is structured, that's why it still says that the bike trail safety crossing is ongoing, or are there pieces still missing, like as of today? Because I thought it was finished now.
Thank you, Councillor Ternaski. Madame Guittard?
Yeah, they were just finished because obviously we were still installing the crossing. So that was done just recently. So that's why as of June 30th, they were not completed. So that's why it's ongoing.
Okay, Councillor Tarnowski.
Well, just to follow up to that, I wanted to congratulate you and your team for that, because that's amazing at the PRAC committee and for a lot of the public there that had a lot of concerns about these crossings. It's beautiful to see those crossings now activated. So congrats on that, and to Mr. Bourgon for his team as well on that.
Yeah, this is what I want to add. There was a big, large chunk of that project that was overseen by Mr. Bourgon and his team. So thank you to them also.
Thank you very much. Hopefully now we can just, the education piece, if people actually using those crossings can actually push on the button to signal their intention, that would make it a little bit easier for everybody involved. Other questions, Councillor Saucier and then Conseiller Larin?
Thank you. Yeah, my sentiments as well, Madame Guittard, and I was happy to see the bollards put back up at the crossings as well, because on Edie Road they were going very quickly through that crossing area, and now it has slowed the traffic down again. But what my question is on the gym and the and I understand the COVID issue, but on the gym and the walking track, I noticed the student rate is very, very low. So I'm just wondering, again, could you remind me what we're charging our students, and is there any way maybe we can give them a break, because it said here from January to June we didn't have any students, and then also in the gym we only had 5. So I'm just wondering, what were the numbers prior to COVID?
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Saucier. I think we're talking about new memberships as well, right? When Madame Guittard, correct me if I'm wrong, but because we were closed for so long, a lot of memberships got extended. So there's not necessarily new memberships. I know, for example, for myself, mine would have been due in February, March or whatever, but it got pushed back at like 6 months. So I won't be buying a new one till the next term. But Madame Guittard, c'est une des raisons, ça?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Yeah, that could be one of the reasons, because we've been honoring passes honestly since March 2020. So it's been over a year, over 18 months that we've been honoring some passes. So I think we will be seeing the end of this, but yeah. So if you look at 2020, if I look at these students for the 6-month pass, we sold 8 in 2020 compared to 5 in 2021, which is not really lower, but like Mr. Mayor said, we have to honor the ones that maybe just bought just before COVID. And since we've closed 3 times, we've been honoring all those closed months. So we've been really, generous with that. So this is what it's creating right now.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Conseiller Larin, I believe you're next.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate, because something you just said, because I read it on a few posts on whether it's on Facebook or whatever, in different groups that people are doing, and just reiterating the fact that now that the crosswalks are in, for people to make sure they press the buttons, because even if they just wait for the cars to go and think they can make it across, you never know when another car is coming and how fast they're coming. And, it's better just to know that the lights are flashing and see it, a couple 100 feet down the street, rather than all of a sudden the person, the little kid stops in the middle of the road, or you don't get through. And it just makes it a lot easier for the vehicles to know that there are people that are about to be crossing. So I just think, yeah, it's great that you may think you have enough time to get across and you don't bother pushing the buttons, but for everyone's sake, please just push the buttons when you're going across. At least that tells the cars that something's happening up ahead.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Conseiller Larin. If there's no further questions in regards to the semi-annual activity report, or nothing to add from Madame Guittard, then we'll... Conseiller Brisson.
Juste vu qu'on est dans le rapport des parcs et récréations, juste confirmer, Est-ce que c'est dans toutes nos facilités, que ce soit dans les salles, dans le gym comme le dôme, puis les arénas, que le monde doit être doublement vacciné avec preuve?
Je pense que ça va faire partie d'un verbal report, Madame Guittard, qui s'en vient plus tard dans l'agenda.
Ah, okay.
On va avoir toute cette discussion-là avec les nouveaux règles. Ça va être item M qu'on va avoir ces discussions-là, conseiller Brisson.
OK, c'est parfait. Merci.
Parfait. With that, we'll move on to the next item. Item I, Recreational Complex Update number 5. The Council receives report PR 2021, dated September 20th, 2021, and approves the recommendation for the additional Phase 1 and Phase 2 project management and prime consultant fees proposal from Collier's project leader. Questions, comments, members of council? Anything to add from the administration on this one?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I just have a mathematical correction to do where the financial implication is mentioned. It would not be $64,440. It would be $60,852.48, because if you add 59,800 times 1.76, that's the amount.
Right,
So
we don't pay the full HST.
$4,000 less, so that's the good part.
Okay, and it's normal that when council, we know there's been delays in construction because of materials and so forth, and I'm confident the administrative team will do what's in the best interest of the municipality, make sure that we recover as many costs as possible. S'il n'y a pas d'autres questions, if there's no further questions, then we'll move on to the next item. Next item is item J, Clerk's Semi-Annual Activity Report, Report CL08 2021. The council receives Report CL08A 2021 dated September 20th, 2021. Questions, comments from members of council? We can see that the clerk's office has been busy, especially with requests from the public. Madame Camille-Laflamme, would you like to give a little bit of highlights in regards to your report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hello, council members. So like you've seen in the report, I'll just go briefly over a few items just to, so some of the ongoing projects are already done. So like number 1, 3, and 4. So I just noted them with the date so that you know it's already done. For the rest, municipal elections, well, that's still ongoing. We're always talking with all the other clerks, at least every couple of weeks, every time something comes up. And right now we're reviewing the contract. So we've checked the insurance clause and all that. So we'll have to sign that in the next few weeks, but it's still ongoing. For number 5 and 6 in the ongoing, I'll be bringing to council the code of conduct and the council staff relations policy. So just, you know, this will be probably coming at the next meeting. And I'll be asking a little bit like when we do changes for the procedural bylaw. So it'll probably be for your review. And if you have some things that you would like to be reviewed or changed, then that would be the time and council to provide back to me. And I could bring back a report in late November or December so we can do the changes if there are any. So that's the process I'm thinking of going with that one. And the reason for that is that it has to be reviewed every 4 or 5 years, I think. So the deadline is February of next year. And since it's an election year, that's why I had this on the business plan to do this year.
Okay, thank you very much, Madame Camille-Laflamme.
For the rest, the iCompass, well, we're still continuing with the records management. So that takes a lot of time as well. For the attachments, just briefly to let you know, so Appendix A, if you've noticed, we added 2 columns. So we added a column for the certificates. I did not have time to update the 2017-21 in this one, but in the next report, you'll see how many certificates. So maybe this gives an idea to council, like what time that we take with all the numbers. Sometimes we have for, let's say, hockey games or a big bunch. So maybe I thought this might be of interest to council. And I've added the council agendas revision because sometimes we have an update, Amendment 1, Amendment 2, sometimes 3. So just to let council know the number for 2021, that's why they're higher, because if there was 3 amendments, well, that's like making 3 agendas, even though it's not as lengthy, but it's still time to publish it and send the emails and notification. And so just for your info. And the other part, you'll probably have seen that the lottery and affidavits for 2020 and 21 were a lot less, and that's because of COVID and that we were close to the public at that time. So that's the reason. And the lottery, well, most of the organizations couldn't do any because of the COVID as well. So that's the reason for that one. Appendix B is just as usual. And Appendix C, I've added that one because one of them was not done completely when I had my last report, let's say at the end of December. So this way I've updated it so you can see what happened to that one. So that's the reason for Appendix C.
Okay,
perfect. If you have any questions, just let me know.
Parfait, merci beaucoup. Conseiller Tarnowski?
So I did have a question on that increase in those agenda items. So that obviously is a lot of time. And we're looking at more than doubling any previous, well, almost all previous amounts. And is there something that we can do from a council's perspective to avoid that?
Well, it's not. It's because in the others, it wasn't shown the revision. I only noted the council meetings.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So that's why it happens to look higher for 2021 because we did not note them before.
Okay, merci.
OK, parfait. D'autres questions, commentaires, membres du conseil? Si c'est tout, s'il n'y a pas rien à ajouter, Madame Camille-Laflamme, merci beaucoup.
Merci.
We will go on to the next report, item K, CAO Comms HR Semi-Annual Activity Report. The council receives report CAO 08-2021 dated September 20th, 2021. Monsieur Leduc, any highlights you want to share?
Oui, Monsieur le maire, membre du conseil, bonsoir. Évidemment, la municipalité a lancé son nouveau site web vers la fin juin, donc c'était quelque chose qui a été marquant pour nous autres. Puis je crois que d'après le feedback de la communauté, c'est très positif. Il y a eu quelques petits anicroches ici et là, mais rien de majeur qu'on a pu régler ou en train de finaliser. Donc pour ça, ça a été très bien reçu. As far as the recruitment, our HR department has been quite busy and probably having a harder time to recruit with COVID restrictions and also the shortage of candidates for various positions. There was a lot of activities regarding summer recruitment and also the daycare replacements. So with on and off, like you've mentioned in other reports, but due to COVID, it's caused some issues, but certainly our HR department has been working at that. In relation to COVID again, a lot of staff are now back in the office since August 7th. But we've been working on a teleworking policy. So this has been shared with department heads and being reviewed for other updates. But that's something we're working on right now to bring to council for consideration before the end of the year. Also, 2 other policies. One, with the electronic participation of members of council to meetings and staff. Right now, we're looking at various communities or various municipalities as how do they work in hybrid models or not, and what softwares are they using and how do they record their activities. So we've done some research and still working on that to find the best way of doing it and buying the right product and getting access to the right technology to continue on with electronic participation as needed, as we will discuss further later on during the year. So that's something we're working on. And also in communications, we are going to be showing to council a revised or a corporate communication policy. Obviously, things have evolved quite significantly in the communications world in the last 5 years. So our policy was outdated, so it needed to be refreshed. So we have a very good company called Red Brick that's well known across Ontario to review communication policies, and we'll be presenting to council in October a revised communication policy. And finally, you've noticed in the upcoming events, there's a leadership training et la formation prévue. Ici, il était question d'organiser une formation à travers une personne de la cité collégiale pour former tous les gestionnaires de l'organisation On croyait qu'on a vu beaucoup de changements de personnel, on a vu beaucoup de changements de superviseurs. Donc, il était nécessaire qu'on passe à une certaine formation de groupe. So there'll be group training starting tomorrow afternoon regarding different aspects of management. So to continue improving on our practices and training and coaching to different new members of the administration or the of the management team. So this is now start and going on till mid-November, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So these would be the highlights that I wish to raise tonight with council.
Thank you very much, Monsieur Leduc. Questions, comments, members of council? No. A lot of work going in, and obviously COVID changes things. Not necessarily what the business plan forecasted 2 years ago, but you know, staff have been able to adapt. So congratulations, Monsieur Leduc, and all the various department heads for everything that's been going on during the past 18 months. I'm glad to see that the business of the corporation still continues, and we've adopted adequately. With that, if there's no questions from members of council, we'll move on to the next item. Prochain item, c'est le item L, meetings by electronic participation. The council directs the clerk to prepare and publish all council agendas for the meetings to be held by electronic participation from now until December 31st, 2021. Further to section 4.19, electronic participation in council's procedural bylaw 2019-020, as amended, except for the budget working sessions for the 2022 budget to be held in person on October 20th and 21st, 2021. Questions, comments, members of council? No, if there's no questions, Conseiller Laurent?
Why do we need a resolution to do that if we pass the bylaw to change our procedure bylaw already?
Yeah. Monsieur Leduc, Madame Camelet-Laflamme, either or.
I think the resolution that was passed, or what was passed earlier, indicated that council needed to give prior authorization, and instead of getting this prior authorization from meeting to meeting, we've heard your request to consider electronic participation until the end of the year. I think a meeting or two ago. So this is why when Mrs. Camelet-Laflamme and I discussed this resolution, we wanted to reflect probably what council intended to do a few meetings back.
So basically, instead of the clerk emailing us a week before every meeting to make sure that virtually is okay, we're just giving our okay for the entire rest of the year, and then we'll have a discussion further on. Okay.
Thank you for clarifying.
No problem. Madame Camelet-Laflamme?
And yes, that's correct, Mr. Mayor. And also it was like a council to advise me at least 48 minutes in advance. So this way you do not have to all send me an email, and also to help us prepare the agenda so that it is published and notified on the website as well. So the public also know where we are and how we'll be holding the meeting. And the second part, the last part of the resolution also, so we have an exception to have the budget working sessions in person, since they will be the full day for council.
Perfect. Thank you very much. If there's no further question on this one, we'll move on to the next item. Should be an interesting one. Vaccination passport update for recreational facilities. Verbal report PR 2021. Monsieur Leduc, Madame Guittard. A lot of changes, a lot of adjustments, and I think some discussion has to happen.
Exactly. So like I said, we've had a few challenges with COVID. So I've prepared a little chart for you tonight, just to make it easier to explain the situation. As you probably all know, as of this Wednesday, starting at 12:01, September 22nd, all mandatory double vaccine will be mandatory to go in our buildings. So for us at recreation, it means both arenas, the dome, sports dome, and the 4 recreation halls that we have. So every people attending an event or something going on in the buildings will have to show their double vaccine. We do have exceptions. So for the arenas, we have the minor sports. But again, there's an exception to the exception. Russell girls hockey will have to show double vaccine also, but not the coaches and not the referees. For the minor hockey, they will not have to show any vaccination passport for the children 12 years and under, as also the coaches and the referees. But any other person, a parent attending, a visitor, a spectator, will have to provide this at the door with a piece of ID. So as the same for the halls. So let's say we have a wedding going on at the recreation hall in Embrun, we will have to have someone at the door the whole time of the event to check the vaccination passport to make sure that it's valid, plus a proof of ID.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you want, I think Councillor Lorrain has something.
Yep. Conseiller Lorrain, you have a question? Go ahead.
Two quick things. So you keep mentioning double vaccination. Is it double vaccination plus 14 days that has to be shown, or double vaccination? Because there is a difference.
Yep, you're right. I should have added double vaccination plus 14 days. So basically this is, yeah, you're right. So it's 14 days over the double, the second dose.
Okay.
So
the other question that I have with the new regulation that came out last week in Ontario for Joe hockey player that plays men's league hockey, are they exempt from this, or because they're participating, or do they also have to show vaccination entering the building? And then I have one more question after that.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so every player that is 12 years and over have to provide the vaccine passport, or like you said, the 14 days after the second dose. They have to provide that at the door, plus a valid piece of ID. So this will have to be shown at the door, even though, because we did try to make our case to Dr. Paul, even though, let's say for an adult league, it's basically always the same players that come back every week. Even though it's the same players, they won't accept that. You have to try to start all the process every time, every week. So this means that basically we need somebody at the door at the time we open in the morning, if there's anything going on, of course, until we close at night, let's say maybe an hour before we close, because obviously when it's the last booking, after that, usually during the week, there's no one that comes in after. So we could basically lock the door, because we know that those adult leagues don't have any spectators. We could close the door and make sure that no one comes in, and that would be the end of the day. As for let's say a wedding reception, we can't do that, because you don't know what time the people come in, and you don't know what time the last one comes in. So that's why we will need somebody at the door. So we've prepared a few options to show you tonight. And I will be honest, most municipalities in the area will be choosing a security services to look after the door, if you want, to make sure that people that are coming in our facility have the right passport and have the right ID to be able to come in. So I've provided 3 different security companies. The first one is Falcon Security. That's the security company that takes care of the dome right now. So they provided a price of $36.67 an hour. Then the other one is Shield Security at $30 an hour, and Capital Security, which is $30 an hour. We were able to talk to Capital today because they're the ones who's looking after the election. So we know for a fact that that company is available, that they do have agents available to work as of tomorrow morning. What we have to also understand, we have to make a very quick decision, because all municipalities, like I've mentioned, are looking for those agents right now. And also I've asked the bylaw department with Mrs. Bordeaux to maybe give us a hand until Sunday if we need to, just in case we can't retain the services like right away on Wednesday morning, because if we do have the go ahead tonight, tomorrow morning we'll be on the phone calling these companies, at least one company, to try to retain them for Wednesday morning. If we can't retain them, I want to be sure that we can still make this rule, obeyed, if you want, on Wednesday. So bylaw officers could give us a hand until maybe Sunday, or maybe just even before we could go with the company. Also, we did put the option 2, which would be hiring of staff. But hiring of staff, you have to understand that we will have to post the positions. So the hiring could take about 4 to 6 weeks before, by the time we post the jobs, we do the interviews, we hire the staff, and then we train them. That's a time that we could see 4 to 6 weeks. This would bring us beginning of November, second week of November, which is, it's getting late in the year, because we're hopeful. What Dr. Paul told us is, if we reach 90% vaccination in the province, then maybe those rules will be relaxed a bit. Of course, there's no guarantee when we'll reach that 90%, but we're hopeful by the end of the year that we get there. So basically, if we hire staff, and also you have to remember, like Monsieur Leduc mentioned before, we are having a very hard time right now to retain staff at every level. So I'm not even sure if we'll be able to retain 7 to 8 new employees by that time. Also, there's another thing, with employees, and it's normal. You might have someone that won't show up one morning because he's sick. So what happens if we have no staff available to cover the whole day? Does it mean that we have to close the doors for 7 or 8 hours? So that's another thing. With a security company, you won't have that issue. They're committed, we'll be signing a contract. So we will be sure that we have qualified people at the door. And last but not least, you have to remember that it's not a popular request right now. It's not everybody that is understanding about this mandatory request from the province. So you can imagine that we might have some unhappy people at the door. So I think we would feel more comfortable in having qualified, experienced staff at the door to do that kind of work. So my recommendation would be very strongly to hire a security company until needs be.
Okay, merci.
So I'm not sure if you have questions. I haven't talked about the option 3. That's not one that we would favor. This would be to have no spectators at all with the minor sports. This means that we would not have to have somebody at the door, because obviously everybody's exempt for minor sports. Option 4 would be to charge the additional cost of $30 an hour to the user. But you have to understand, for users that would be renting a hall for, let's say, a wedding, you're talking about 10 hours. So this would be a fee of about $300 that would be added to their rental fee of the hall. And then the option 5 for the halls would be to not rent the halls until this is all done, and to allow no spectators. So,
okay,
my preferred option would be number 1.
Okay, merci beaucoup, Madame Guittard. Questions? I saw some hands go up. Councillor Tarnowski, Councillor Saucier.
Thank you. I believe Councillor Lorraine still had a question, but I'll go ahead. So I just need a clarification. Early on in the verbal report, you're talking about coaches as not requiring it. Could I just get clarification on that, just from my understanding of it?
Yeah, Madame Guittard.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Member, members of the council. That's right. Coaches are not asked to submit their vaccine passport.
Does that mean team managers, like the whole?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all volunteers. So I bring in the.
Just
for the volunteers. Sorry. For the volunteers, Councillor Lorraine, what I was told today by the health office is you need to be a volunteer from the corporation to be exempted. volunteers from, let's say, from Ember Minor Hockey would not be exempted. That's what we were told.
See, we need to clarify that, because my understanding, and according to the regulations from the health office that the minor sports are looking at,
Okay.
it says anyone who is volunteer coaches and on ice helpers, which are volunteers, timekeepers and whatnot, are exempt from that.
Yeah,
from the double vaccination.
You're right, timekeepers is fine too. But they said, let's say there's a volunteer parent coming in to lace the skates, they do have to provide vaccination.
Yeah, no, I meant like somebody on the staff, like some on the staff and whatnot. So
yeah, if they are part of the staff, technically, they're not mandated to have the vaccine.
Okay, and just for anybody who might be watching, clarification. Again, these are rules coming in from the province and the health unit. These are not township's interpretation. We verify all this information with the health unit to make sure that we're following their rules. We might not like their rules, we might not agree with their rules, but they are the rule makers, and we are in a position where we have to follow what they put in place. So there was Councillor Saucier. Councillor Lorrain, did you still have a question?
I did. I just wanted clarification on something, because Madame Gattal mentioned something about the girls hockey being a little bit different. Because I know that at one point the girls hockey had come out with their own regulation when the provincial government came out with the first notification on September 3rd. They have since on September 17th come out with a updated regulation. Okay. So I think now they're following the province, which is everyone is exempt between 12 and 17 if they are playing the sport, which I believe is the same thing as the boys. So there is no difference between the two. They are all, if you're participating, then you are exempt from the process. So I just want a clarification of that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I think we had our talk with the health office on the 17th, so probably the information got crossed, but thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part, is the information seems to be changing from day to day or week to week. So staff, obviously staff are continuous contact with the health unit to make sure we're on the same page. Councillor Saucier and then Councillor Tarnowski.
Yeah, no, I just had a report from Queen's Park from last week, and they were saying that weddings and funerals were exempt. So I was just checking on that. It says no proof of vaccination will be required to attend a wedding or funeral or a place of worship.
I think that's probably because it's in a church, for example, and not a community center. Madame Guital?
No. And that's the same kind of ruling they had before. It's the ceremony only, the reception. So between you and me, I'm not sure how we would try to, you attend the ceremony of the wedding, you don't need the vaccine, but as soon as the reception starts, you need to show your vaccine. If not, you have to go out. You can't stay.
No dancing, in other words. Sorry? No dancing.
No dancing. Same thing for the religious, because we do have religious events in our halls. So let's say they decide to have a lunch after that. Again, it's not part of the religious thing, so it goes back to the vaccination.
Okay.
So hopefully everybody gets vaccinated and it saves all these issues. Conseiller Tarnowski.
So I was just wondering if we could consider a hybrid version of option 1 and 2. As people get used to the process, the people that might be upset at the door is going to probably diminish because it's the same people coming back regularly. So perhaps we can look at something where we have a company and then hire a couple of staff for this, because we don't know how long this is going to be. This is going to possibly go into the new year as well. So it may be a more financially viable situation where we have a hybrid of both. That's just a option to discuss.
Okay, Thank you. Monsieur Leduc, Madame Guittard, thoughts on that?
Like I said, we don't have an issue of posting jobs. The only thing, like I mentioned, we will probably not secure anyone to start working before the beginning of November. And then how many people are we going to be able to secure? That's another one. And also we need to have some people that have a certain background to work that specific job if you want, because I'm not sure that this is meant for everybody. So we will probably have to ask a bit of qualifications, for example, I'm looking for my word, law sécurité.
Law and security background.
That's right. So we will probably have to look into that. So we might need the help of Mrs. Bordeaux in order to secure some staff, because I think they will need a bit of some more qualified skills if you want. This is not just a typical student job to be at the door. I don't think so.
Yeah, it can definitely be in a uncomfortable position dealing with those people, but Councillor Tarnowski does have a good point that as the months go on, yeah, most of these issues should be hopefully controlled by then, and then we might be able to get staff to step in at a lower rate of pay, if you will, based on what's being presented to us. But I think right now it's option one is simply we need to get a company locked in with us, so we make sure that we don't find a situation, as Madame Guittard stated, where we don't have somebody and therefore you have to cancel the ice time because there's nobody to be at the door checking.
That's right. And it's the juggling of all those schedules and the staff. Like I said, what happens if we have one or two that can't come in a day that they were scheduled, then you need to find staff. And we don't have that surplus of staff right now. And of course, if I just mentioned, if we need a little bit more qualifications, this means we will not have a surplus at all.
I think, Monsieur Leduc, Madame Guittard, I think we can definitely lock in option one, get a company, and maybe start the process just in case to see how it goes. But, I think to begin with, we definitely have to go with option one. Conseiller Brisson, question?
Oui, j'en ai une couple. Pour commencer, quand on parlait de staff et tout ça, est-ce qu'avec la compagnie, que si on a besoin comme de 4 staff en même temps, parce que disons qu'il y a une activité à la salle d'aréna, à Grand Salle, puis aux 2 arénas, autrement, si on va juste notre staff, ça va en prendre un paquet. Est-ce que des compagnies-là sont capables d'en fournir, dire OK, une journée, t'en as rien que 2, l'autre, t'en as 5.
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead, Madame Guittard.
Thank you, Mr. Member, members of council. Yeah, we would give them the schedule that we need, because obviously our bookings are firm right now. We've seen some cancellations, honestly, though, in the halls, because some of the people that are hosting those events don't want to have to go through all that. But still, we have a lot of events and they are firm. We already have rental contracts. So this is what we can share with the agency, so they would know exactly when their services are needed.
OK, parfait. Une autre question, conseiller Brisson?
Oui, une autre, c'est, mais là, comme tu dis, j'ai pas de problème de dire, OK, on va avec des compagnies, option 1, mais les coûts de ça, comme c'est là, est-ce que c'est absorbé comme option 4, ça dit charger au client? Sinon, c'est quoi? C'est-tu la municipalité qui absorbe ces coûts-là?
Si je lis ça comme il faut, Monsieur Leduc, Madame Guittard, that would be absorbed by the municipality. How we fund that? Monsieur Godin mentioned we had approximately $800,000 left in the COVID fund que la province fédérale nous avait donné. So probablement, ça serait une source de financement, Monsieur Leduc?
Oui, normalement, on verrait regarder la fin de l'année pour voir quels sont les résultats des opérations régulières du département. Puis dans le cas où on est à court d'argent, là, on irait, oui, définitivement piger dans le fonds COVID. On sait que ce n'est pas un puits sans fond, mais définitivement que pour au minimum rouler à décembre, puis au pire, peut-être au mois de mars, Mais moi, je n'oublie pas non plus l'option 5 qui est peut-être de mettre fin à des demandes de location de salle. Si on est pour dépenser 6 heures à une location pendant 300 $, on a peut-être pensé à plus en prendre, puis de ce qui est existant, puis de limiter les impacts, là. Il y a ça aussi à considérer.
OK. Merci beaucoup, M. Leduc. Conseiller Brisson?
Et l'autre chose que je voulais me faire expliquer, dans le diagramme qu'il y a comme c'est là en display, c'est par mois, mais pour le hall, pourquoi c'est comme 17, 64, 5, puis là en décembre 0? C'est ces chiffres-là, je comprends pas, là.
C'est le nombre d'heures. C'est écrit heures par mois. Donc,
Oui.
au mois de décembre, on n'a aucune location comme c'est là au Palais des Sports dans la salle en haut. Donc, c'est
OK.
0 heure.
Oui.
OK. C'est par les locations que tu as comme c'est là, mais si ça peut remonter s'il y en a qui s'ajoutent.
Ça peut remonter comme aussi on en a aujourd'hui qui se sont annulés. Donc, ce diagramme-là est à partir de vendredi dernier, le 17 septembre, mais aujourd'hui, on a eu d'autres annulations.
Ça fait que là, comme c'est là, ceux qui font les réservations, le prix n'a pas changé, que comme c'est là, c'est nous autres qui absorbent ces coûts-là.
Oui, c'est ça. La seule chose qu'on dit aux gens, c'est de viser leurs clients ou leurs invités qui vont devoir nous montrer leur passeport de vaccination à la porte. Sinon, ils ne pourront pas rentrer.
OK.
Parfait. Councillor Tarnowski?
Juste pour suivre sur l'idée de M. Leduc, je pense qu'on ne peut pas rajouter des prix aux contrats qui sont déjà signés, mais pour des contrats qui sont assignés encore, si quelqu'un veut venir, ben, je pense qu'on devrait commencer à penser à cette idée-là, de mettre cette surcharge-là, surtout pour les the halls. I mean, I don't think we can add it to our hockey teams and everything else, which have already done budgets for the year and have signed contracts, but anywhere where we can, I think that's a smart option to do.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Councillor Tarnowski. From my side of things, I would not want to option 3, the no spectators. I wouldn't want to look at that because, you know, the spectators who have been vaccinated, I don't want to, you know, start penalizing them in this instance. So I think really the decision is, are we hiring a company? If we're hiring a company, that's the direction we give. If, as Councillor Tarnowski mentioned, that if, you know, we can add a surcharge to any new contracts being booked today, if council wishes to go that direction, we can do that as well. Yeah, Councillor Lorrain?
Yeah, I'm in favor of option 1. I'm not in. I mean, at this point, we need to get something going. But in terms of the surcharges or anything like that, I'm not in favor of that at this point in time. Let's see how this goes. Let's see what the new year brings. But I think at least for the next little while, this is something that we should be looking at. And I mean, hopefully we can get money from the province for this and move forward. But I don't think putting it back on the users is the way to do it. So. Okay,
thank you very much, Conseiller Lorrain. Councillor Saucier?
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Lorrain on that. So I would go with option 1, and you know, we shouldn't penalize the users for something that's unavoidable.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other comments? So, Monsieur Leduc?
Mrs. Guitar, when she first started, mentioned municipal buildings. I want to clarify those are recreational municipal buildings. Workplaces are exempt from this obligation. So this is why you don't see anything about any offices or the town hall.
Okay, thank you very much for the clarification, Monsieur Leduc. So I think we have a majority in regards to option 1. Obviously, we want to move this forward. I think I tend to agree with Councillor Lorrain, Councillor Saucier, that let's wait till closer till the end of the year, see how this is going, and if we see that it's going to continue moving forward, then perhaps we want to revisit the financial impact, and hopefully the province does have more funds coming our way. But the province did give us funds specifically to deal with COVID-related matters. So that is a fund that is there in regards to situations like this. So is everybody okay with that? Option 1, I see heads and thumbs ups. And then we'll, t'es correct avec la direction, Madame Guittard?
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Définitivement, et on va faire notre possible pour faire un bon shopping là, pour l'agent de sécurité.
Parfait, merci beaucoup. Puis I hope that residents, are respectful of the situation we're in, and that we have no choice but to move forward with this type of scenario. And hopefully they're respectful when they go into our facilities, because at the end of the day, we're just doing a job, and our staff is just doing a job, and we have to be respectful of that. So merci beaucoup à toi et ton équipe, Madame Guittard.
Merci, Monsieur le maire.
Prochain item, item 12, rapport d'un investigateur ou l'ombudsman, il n'a pas. Avis de nation, numéro 13, il n'a pas. Item 14, question period on meeting of the day. I believe we have a few questions, so if anybody has questions, simply type it in. It has to be on something related to today's agenda. So the first question is from Mr. Harry Baker, 208 Force Road, under item 11F. I think this will be in regards to the landfill report for Monsieur Bourgon. In extending the contaminant attenuation zone in 2021 to include residential wells at 717 and 1747 St. Catherine Road, does that limit the use of those wells by the residences? I believe the answer is no, mais Monsieur Bourgon, peux-tu confirmer?
Merci, Mr. Mayor. So you're right, at this time, no. But we're still reviewing our data and working with our consultant to see what measure would need to be put in place in the future.
Okay, thank you very much, Monsieur Bourgon. The next question, I believe, will be Monsieur Leduc, Madame Guittard, Mr. Harry Baker, again, 208 Forest Road. Are vaccination passports required for entering the museums? My first impression is I would think so, but can you confirm, Madame Guittard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I will confirm with the health office, but I would strongly believe yes, because we usually follow the same rules as of the other recreation facilities. But I will confirm tomorrow with the health office and get back to Mr. Baker.
Okay, thank you very much. I mean, if indoor dining is, the businesses are going to require it, the museums are indoor facilities, I would assume that it will be the same as well.
Typically, it would be starting Wednesday morning, like all the other facilities, all the other recreation facilities.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. No further questions. We'll move on to item 15, resolutions. Motion que le Conseil approuve toutes les recommandations énumérées à l'ordre du jour au numéro 11, rapport des départements et comités du Conseil. Need a mover and a seconder to put the resolutions on the table, please. Moved by Conseiller Brisson, seconded by Councillor Lorrain. I'll call for the vote.
Mike Ternosky, yes.
André, oui.
Jamie, yes.
Cindy Sosa, yes.
Perfect. The resolutions are carried. Item 16, bylaws. Part A was done at the beginning of the meeting, so we will now do Part 2B. Motion that Council approves bylaws 2021-088 to 2021-089 inclusively for first, second, and third reading as listed on the agenda. Need a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Ternosky, seconded by Conseiller Brisson. I'll call for the vote.
Mike Ternosky, yes.
André, oui.
Jamie, yes.
Cindy Sosa, yes.
Thank you. The bylaws are carried. Item 17, new business reports. We have none. Item 18, business presented by council members. We did have some additions. The first was under myself for Bollard for Craig Street. So I had brought up when we had the discussion a month or two ago in regards to the increased safety measures for pedestrian safety. We had given direction to the administration to speak with the United Counties to look at what is possible as far as improving the area near Tim Hortons in Russell between Broadway and Hamilton Road. Based on conversations with the engineers and based on the statistics of the speed radar, I think it's going to need further investigation. 85% of the people driving into Russell are going approximately 76 kilometers coming into the village when the speed limit is 50. So, they're 50% above the limit. And the engineers indicated that it's just the way the road is configured because it's such a large road and the design of the road, which makes it difficult to control. In speaking with the engineers, I asked, would it be possible, what about the bollards that we have in other areas in our municipality? It gives that sense of being confined. It's a low-cost alternative to begin with. So I'm asking if members of council are okay with that direction, that Monsieur Bourgon can bring back a resolution at our next meeting to, because it is a county road, we do have to ask permission to have bollards in that area. So that's what I'm looking for, opening the discussion to see if council is okay with making that request to the United Counties. Monsieur Bourgon, je ne sais pas si tu veux ajouter quelque chose. On a eu un petit peu de discussion là-dessus.
Je pense que vous avez bien résumé la situation, Monsieur le maire. Si le conseil voulait aller de l'avant avec une initiative de ce genre-là, il faut préparer une résolution qui soit approuvée par le conseil pour ensuite la porter à la table des comtés. If the county council did support that resolution, then it would be up to the township staff to do that installation. And obviously, with the timing of the season, it would be, if everything approved, an installation for spring 2022.
Perfect. Conseiller Brisson.
Ma question, c'est savoir, comme les bollards, ça, c'est les petits poteaux flexibles.
Exactement, oui.
Ouais, mais ça contrôle durant l'été, mais est-ce qu'on a le même problème durant l'hiver? Parce qu'autrement, là, ça ne résout pas. Ça prendra des humps à la place au lieu.
Je pense pas que c'est nécessairement des humps, but during the winter season, évidemment, avec la neige sur les chemins, le monde, ils ont tendance à être un petit peu plus attentif quand ils conduisent. Mais ça, c'est quelque chose que on a un radar sign en place. On va être capable d'évaluer au printemps les chiffres durant l'hiver pour voir s'il y a une solution plus applicable l'hiver. Mais définitivement, c'est quelque chose qu'on peut regarder dans le futur aussi.
C'est ça. Parce que le radar qu'on a comme c'est là, il avait été installé quand?
Monsieur Bourgon, je pense que ça fait un bout de temps qu'il est là. Je sais qu'il y a eu des problèmes techniques au début de l'année. C'est pour ça qu'on n'était pas capable d'avoir des chiffres plus bonheur. Mais...
Merci, monsieur. Donc, si ma mémoire est bonne, on l'a installé en 2020. Mais comme vous le mentionnez, on a eu de la difficulté à reprendre les données du radar. Donc, c'est tout récemment qu'on a des données qui sont valides.
Oui. Puis c'est un radar des Comtés-Unis, c'est pas le nôtre, hein, c'est ça?
Exactement.
Oui.
Donc, c'est comme ça qu'on n'a pas les données pour l'hiver comparé à l'été.
C'est ça, comme c'est là, oui.
OK.
Parfait. D'autres questions? Are we okay with bringing back a resolution at the next meeting to make that request? Perfect. I see thumbs up. We're good. Thank you very much, everyone. Item 18B, Councillor Saucier, an update for the Terry Fox Run.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, yesterday was very successful, even though it was a scaled down version again, similar to last year. They had, most of the donations came online. We had staggered hours, so from 9 till noon, we didn't have an official start, so people could come in dribbles. But as of last night, we raised $9,800, and as of today, we surpassed $10,000. So I want to thank Donald LaFrance and the Russell, the fire departments for helping, because at the time I wasn't sure if the lights would be working. So they offered to come out, and they came out anyway and helped people cross, because we know the crossings are still a learning experience. And also, I also want to thank Township Bylaw, who was on the trail on the bike and just making sure everybody was safe and that there was no issues. So that was very much appreciated. And so I thank Madame Bordeaux or whoever arranged that. And I did just a little small story was kind of really, I think a highlight of the day was a family just moved here, and they were so excited to be at the Terry Fox Run because they said because of COVID, they hadn't had an opportunity to meet a lot of people. So they came out, and their little boy was turning 5 yesterday, and he is a Terry Fox. He knows everything about Terry Fox, how many kilometers he ran, where, everything. He was giving details, and he reads the story every night. He got a book from the Russell Library, and he's reading at 5, and he was so excited that I had to give him a t-shirt yesterday for his birthday. So it was, they went away very happy, and I was in touch with them after, and I said, oh, by the way, I'm also your counselor. So if you need any help in your community or where to find resources. So it was a beautiful day, and I was actually quite surprised by, you know, we had a hockey team come out, and some people dribbled in. So I think that's amazing for one morning, and under the conditions we're under. So thank you.
Thank you very much for the update, Councillor Saucier, and thank you for doing this for so many years. I know you thanked Donna, but you're a big part of this. You're a team, and you guys have been doing this for how many years now?
I'm over 20. I think I'm heading to 25, and Donna's over 10. And nice. There's other volunteers too, like Judy McFall and Danielle Pilon and Connie Johnson. They've all been helping for many, many years. So I just didn't have all the volunteers come out because we were trying to keep it low key. Of course. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much to everyone involved for this wonderful event. Next item C, Councillor Lorrain, in regards to crosswalk at the area of Heritage near St. Thomas.
Yeah, so two things there. So the first one is in line with what you were requesting earlier for a resolution to council for the bollards there to go to the United Counties. I think I'd like one as well to look at that crossing in front of St. Thomas, St. Thomas Aquinas at Heritage, to see whether or not something can be done or should be done at that location. So a letter to the United Counties to look into it from our council, I think it would be a good step. So I'm asking council whether or not they would be okay with giving that direction. And then the second part would be I guess it would be from an Bordeaux to figure out what can we do in the interim and as soon as possible to have somebody, a crossing guard or something at that location to assist the people crossing the road there, because there are no sidewalks on the other side.
Okay, thank you very much, Conseiller Lorrain. Monsieur Bourgon, in that area, there's no painted lines currently, correct?
That's it, exactly. There's no painted line, there's no crossing, there's no sidewalk on the other side, so basically across from the school, there's no feature for pedestrian. There's only a sidewalk, part of a sidewalk on the same side of the school along South Russell.
Okay.
So somebody coming out of the Heritage subdivision, that Heritage area, what would they do? They'd have to essentially go all the way around the other way, cross that church, and then come down the other way. I mean, we have to do something, but we have to be better than that, right? So
has this, just out of curiosity, has this ever been, has the school, like, I'm surprised the school never made this request. Is this an area we've ever looked at, Monsieur Bourgon, Madame Bordeaux? From a crossing guard or crossing area?
Well, from the road perspective, no, it's not something that we've looked at. We looked at more. My recommendation to council, the first step would actually be to continue or to build the section of sidewalk that's missing, to create the proper lane of sidewalk.
Okay. Madame Bordeaux, quelque chose à ajouter?
No, we never really looked at that location since it was a high school, and we never received a request. So there was no gap analysis or anything done at that location.
Okay. Do we have a crossing at North Russell at the high school on North Russell Road?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so we have one at one high school because of the 7 and 8s, but we don't have one at this location. Councillor Lorrain, you wanted to follow up?
Yeah, just so you know, I've had 2 requests in the last week for that same location. So just to let you guys know that like people are starting to email about it now. I think maybe more people now in that area that are maybe new people that are moving in, and they are just seeing this now that their kids are going to grade 7, and there's more traffic going across, and cars are zipping. School kids are zipping by. We know how school kids don't necessarily observe the 40-kilometer zone for the school area when they're trying to get to class. So, you know, just to try and make it a little safer for the kids, I think this is something we should be looking at.
Okay, Councillor Associate, comment, question?
Yeah, no, it's basically a comment. I think at least the lines painted. I mean, I support Councillor Laurent's request, and I know they do have the 40 zone and the lights and everything, but yeah, there could be kids coming out of Heritage too that are trying to go.
You're muted, Councillor Associate.
Did you not hear anything I said?
You started and then it went to mute, so.
Okay, sorry. No, I said I supported Councillor Laurent's request, and I said at least the lines, but there could also be children coming out of Heritage going to the public schools as well, you know, walking. So I think that would just make it a little more visible, and that would be maybe a cheaper thing to do right now. And we could get the painting done sooner than later, and I realize it's a county road.
So I would suggest Conseiller Laurent ask that we pass something or give direction to the administration to contact the United Counties and inquire as to possible options at this location. That's the first step. Ask the counties if they can look at this and see what improvements can be made. Is everybody okay with that step? I see thumbs up. Yeah, okay. Monsieur Bourgon, tu peux faire cette demande-là à Monsieur Bouchard au comté. In regards to the other step, perhaps in regards to potential crossing guard, I know Madame Bordeaux had mentioned earlier that we had done a gap analysis, but that wasn't included there. Is that something you can look into from your end, Madame Bordeaux, to see? I believe the analysis was to go and see how many people were actually crossing at that location.
Yes, it's how many people cross and how many vehicles go by. Okay. So it's the 2 parts, and the other issue I have is we don't have any spare crossing guards. It's very hard to get crossing guards.
Right. Well, perhaps we can start with just the gap analysis to find out how many cars are going by and how many people are actually crossing there. And that'll give us an instance to compare to other locations and look at from a budget perspective if we want to add somebody there or not. C'est-tu correct avec cette direction-là? De juste aller regarder ce coin-là, voir c'est quoi l'impact? I see, Monsieur Leduc, t'es correct avec ça? Parfait. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for bringing it up, Conseiller Laurent. So staff will have a look at it and see how we can possible improvements. Item D, Conseiller Laurent, for update on the Russell Arena.
Yeah, so I think you all seen an email that I sent to Madame Guital frantically on Saturday morning asking for information on the Russell Arena ice. Because I had seen a note that the RMHA had sent out that morning that all ice was canceled on the Saturday. So I reached out, and both Celine and Kevin Bird reached out to me that morning and explained the situation. And it was a very critical situation. And I just wanted to publicly come on and talk about the fact that what Celine's staff did to save the ice and not put further ice schedules in peril was incredible. Like, they were probably hours away from losing the ice, and they were able to resolve the issue temporarily while they found another pump to go in. And from what I got confirmation this evening from Madame Guital was that the pump is being delivered tomorrow, or being installed tomorrow, are being delivered tomorrow, and that hopefully, fingers crossed, everything will be back up and running by Wednesday evening. So for them to not have lost the ice, I believe they've had to have people working 24 hours a day to be refilling the brine that they're losing on an hourly basis. And I just wanted to commend the entire staff, Madame Guital, Kevin and his whole team. I'd be remiss if I mentioned any of them separately, but I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood how critical the timing was on all of this and what an amazing job that her staff did. So I wanted to publicly thank them and congratulate them for that. Otherwise, we could have been looking at another week to a week and a half to get new ice put in. So.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Conseiller Lorrain. Madame Guital, did you want to add anything? I know it would made it a little bit of a hectic weekend for you and your staff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Yeah, it was a bit hectic, if that's an understatement, I think. But like Councillor Lorrain said, everybody got together, and even with the contractor, Simcoe, our refrigeration company. So I can confirm the pump is in our back room where the Zamboni is right now. It's sitting there. It's waiting for tomorrow morning. It's going to be installed starting at 7:30 tomorrow morning. It's a few hours of work, but hopefully everything goes well, and we should have people back on the ice on Wednesday night.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
And of course, thank you to all the people that were involved, mostly Kevin Bird, our operation manager, Madame Sonia Clement, the recreation coordinator, because she's looking after she had the task to call everybody to cancel. So everybody put their time in this weekend, and I really appreciate that. This is what makes a great team.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Guital. Conseiller Brisson.
C'est peut-être juste avoir plus de détails. Il a parlé d'une pompe, mais c'est quoi, comment il a pu sauver la glace, puis c'est quoi que, juste s'il y avait à avoir du détail, que quelqu'un demande.
Madame Guital.
Thank you, Mr. Member, members of council. So the pump that was broken is called the Brine Pump. This is what pumps the brine in the expansion tank, and from the expansion tank to your pipes underneath your slab. This is what creates your refrigeration to keep your ice. So if this pump is not pumping, of course, the brine is not getting to your pipes, so you're not getting any refrigeration, so your ice would melt. So this pump was broken, the seal was broken. So we couldn't find another one like that because it's an older style. So it's mounted on the side, and the new pumps are now mounted from the top. So Simcoe was able to refit the old pump, but of course it was still leaking because the shaft was broken. So the shaft and the seal was broken. So whatever we were losing, there was an employee sitting there 24 hours a day, collecting the brine, putting it back in the expansion tank, so that we would not lose the ice. That's the simplest way I can put it to you. And we did not. And of course, we had everything working against us because it was so nice this weekend, unfortunately, for that part. So it could not happen in December. It would be too simple. So it had to happen when we had 28 degrees outside and very warm nights. But luckily the staff was there, and they were putting back the brine. And like I said, we've been doing that, and we'll be doing that until tomorrow morning. So Simcoe will be there tomorrow morning at 7:30 to install the new pump. Of course, there's reconfiguration to do, so that's why it's taking longer than it usually would take. But anyways, so we were able to save the ice because, like Councillor and I said, if we would have lost the ice, it's another 2 weeks plus the time that we would have to change the pump.
Perfect.
And we were very lucky to find a pump because you know how it is right now with COVID. Everything you want to buy is like back ordered for like 8-10 weeks. So we were lucky that Simcoe was able to secure a pump in Toronto. So it made the traveling all day today from Toronto. It arrived safely this afternoon in Russell.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the detailed information, Madame Guital. The last item was Conseiller Lorrain. It was in regards to the work being done on concession in church. I believe you're looking for an update, Conseiller Lorrain.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, maybe it's just more of a public announcement, but whether or not there's any concern from a public safety perspective and the fire trucks and you know, response times and stuff like that. So I just want to make sure that that everything is in order from that perspective, and if there's any concerns that we have from that perspective.
Okay, thank you
Or
very
at
much.
least let everyone know that this is going on.
Yep. Monsieur Leduc, I believe the fire chiefs or the Russell Fire Chief is well aware of the situation.
Yeah, the chiefs were discussing with the department, got informed, and Robert X is doing the work. So we have a fire chief working for Robert X who briefed me a bit on how things were going to be working. So the chiefs are aware, and they made point of telling their members how to avoid traffic, and you know, the extra time needed to get to the station and get out there as soon as possible. So it should be a 2-week work, and maybe less, depending on what Mr. Bourgon can confirm later. But this is what the timeline that they're expecting from the fire department perspective.
Okay, thank you very much, Monsieur Leduc. Monsieur Bourgon, Madame Bordeaux, anything else to add?
Just to add, Mr. Matt, we will be working with the fire chief to try to make some room at nighttime if possible during those 2 weeks, but that's something that's going to be coordinated today if there's any changes. And obviously, I will advise everyone as soon as we're out of a concession and just progressing our way on Church Street.
Parfait. Merci, Monsieur Bourgon. Madame Bordeaux, avais-tu quelque chose à ajouter de ton côté?
Je veux juste ajouter qu'on est en contact avec le département de feu, puis on va prendre les mesures nécessaires si les routes sont bloquées, parce que je sais qu'en fin de semaine, il était concerné avec les gens stationnés dans des endroits qui ne sont pas permis.
OK, parfait. Merci beaucoup, Madame Bordeaux. Anything follow-up, Councillor Lorrain? Is that good?
Yeah, that was just the other thing, is making sure that you know, again, it's more public awareness is, and for the construction people not to be parking on both sides, like to try and keep it to one side of the road, because we all know you got both sides, and then you got a little space to get through, and emergency vehicles are a little bit bigger. So we want to make sure that, you know, in an emergency, every second counts. So let's hope that, you know, anybody that's listening or whatnot, if you're park on one side of the road so that everyone can get through and everyone can get home safe. So.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Conseiller Lorrain. That was the last of the item 18 items. Item 19, public consultations and hearings. We have none. We'll now be going into closed session. Motion to move into closed meeting at the hour of 7:42 p.m. to address matters pertaining to 1. Sale of land in industrial park, report CS07-2021 under section 2C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. Item 2, identifiable individual update, verbal report, section 2B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employee, and section 2D, labor relations or employee negotiations. 3, closed session minutes of the regular council meeting dated September 7, 2021. Need a mover and a seconder, please, to go into closed session. Moved by Councillor Tarnowski, seconded by Conseiller Brisson. All those in favor?
Mike Tarnowski, yes.
André, oui.
Jamie, yes.
Cindy Sosa, yes.
Perfect. We are now going into closed session. Thank you very much, everyone who's attending. And once we come out of closed session, we'll report back. But if you're sticking around, great. If not, have a great evening to members of the public. Thank you. So we see each other in a few minutes. Welcome back, everyone. We're just waiting for one member of council to log back in, and then we'll be able to continue our meeting. Madame Camille-Laflamme, item 20B, report out of closed session.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So the public meeting reconvened at the hour of 9:25 p.m. For the first item, council was briefed on the subject, and as a result of the closed session, there will be a motion presented for council's consideration. So I'll go to number 2 for now. So council was informed of the official retirement of the CAO, Mr. Jean Leduc, as of December 31st, 2021. Council wished to start the replacement process through a headhunting firm, and the mayor and the CAO were given direction on how to proceed. Number 3, the closed session minutes of the regular council meeting dated September 7th, 2021 were presented and adopted.
Okay.
So now we have the motion. So motion that council approves bylaws 2021-090 and 2021-091 for first, second, and third reading as follows. Bylaw 2021-090, being a bylaw authorizing the mayor and the clerk to sign the documents for the sale of land in the 417 Industrial Park to New Build Robotics, Inc., representing 40 acres more or less. And the second bylaw, bylaw 2021-091, being a bylaw authorizing the mayor and the clerk to sign the documents for the purchase of land from Melanie Construction, Inc., representing 119.01 acres of land, more or less, subject to conditions listed in the report, and to repeal bylaw 2021-018.
Okay. I need a mover and a seconder to put it on the table, please. Moved by Councillor Tarnowski, seconded by Conseiller Lorrain. Questions? If not, I will call for the vote.
Mike Tarnowski, yes.
André, oui.
Jamie, yes.
Cindy Sosa, yes.
Perfect. The bylaws are passed. Next one will be the confirming bylaw. That bylaw 2021-091.
92.
92, sorry. We never do.
Yeah, we approved too.
Being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Russell at its regular council meeting held on September 20th, 2021. Be ready first, second, and third time and pass. Need a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Tarnowski, seconded by Conseiller Brisson. Called for the vote.
Mike Tarnowski, yes.
André, oui.
Jamie, yes.
Cindy Sosa, yes.
Perfect. It is carried. Next regular public meeting of council will be held on Monday, October 4th, 2021. And we are adjourned at 9:28 p.m. just in time to go see the election results and see how it's coming in. Thank you very much.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.